So I decided today would be the day to come out and update my ECU to the latest version, and then we'll do some cold start tuning. After the last video, I realized how crappy this thing starts when it's cold. So it's about 40 degrees in the shop, so if I'm out racing and it's colder than 40, I don't think I'm going to worry about how the bike starts. So we'll see if we can get a little bit of the cool weather starting fine-tuned a little bit, and go from there. Okay, so what I'm going to play with here is all my cold start stuff. So down here we got engine start, prime pulse, post start enrichment, and then we got intake air temp compensation and engine temperature compensation. So those are the categories, I guess, I'm going to start playing with. So first thing I'm going to do is go to engine start. So I'm in the engine start table here, and on the bottom is temperature, and then on the side here is milliseconds. So right now it's about 50 degrees in the shop, a little warmer than I initially thought. So somewhere between 40, 50, and 60 is where I'm going to try to richen this thing up a little bit to give a little more fuel to get it to pop off a little quicker. So we'll start with, go to the 50 here. So 50 degrees and 4.95, so I'll say 5 milliseconds. Let's bump that up to, we'll go 5.5. And then the 32 degrees, we'll bump that up a little bit more too. We'll take that to about 6, not 60. 6.0, that works better. And then 14 degrees, obviously that's, I won't be racing when it's 14 degrees out. But we'll go ahead and put something in there, and let's go 6.2. Something to start with. Oops. 6.2. There, we get a little more normal graph going here. So we bump that up about half a millisecond. 68th. I guess we can bring that up just a touch. We'll go, see, it's at 4.5. We'll go 4.75. 4.75. We'll just add a little bit there. So that's engine start. We'll go to my prime pulse now. So prime pulse right now starts at 50 degrees. It's 15 milliseconds. We'll go ahead and bump that up to, let's see, 15. We'll just try 20. 20 to start with there. And we'll bump this up a little bit, just kind of flatten stuff out. See, it's at 12, so we'll go 15. So this stuff, when it starts getting to 104, 140, that's engine temperature, by the way. Right now everything is ambient, so if it's about 45 to 50 in my shop, air temperature, coolant temperature, everything's going to be the same. So 104, 140. The bike seems to start fine once it's got some heat in it. So we get up into these 104, 140, 176 degree along the top here. We'll go ahead and just leave that alone, because all last year when I was running this thing, it was warm outside, so it started pretty good in the pits. I didn't really have any issues after it was already warm. It's always been the initial start on the cool evenings that struggled a little bit, but then, you know, once it's running one time and, you know, it's already got some heat in it, pretty much fires off fine the rest of the night. So that's prime pulse. So I'll go to intake air temp compensation. So right now we got at, 14 degrees through, cancel that, I keep forgetting this is a touchscreen. So we got across the top here, it's 14 degrees, 32, blah, blah, blah. So this is now my intake air temp. It's not coolant temp. So intake air temp at, say, 50 degrees, it's adding percentage of fuel now. So it's adding 4% fuel at 50 degrees. So it's a little questionable on my idle at that temperature. So I'll go ahead and take all of these here. We'll start at 14 degrees, like I said. Actually, no, we'll go over here. We'll start at 68. 68 degrees. We'll just bump that up, and then we'll slowly just give it a little bit of a higher curve here. Just add a little bit. So it's at 3.6. We'll try 4.0. not 4 point minus, 4.0. Then we'll go to my 50-degree air temp. That's at 4.0. We'll try 5.0. Then we'll just bump these all up a little bit here. This is getting into real cold territory. So we'll go 5.5 on this, 5.5, and then we'll go 6 here. And this stuff is also easy to change. That if I don't like how it fires off or how it idles, I can change all that stuff. So this is intake air temp compensation. Now this is after the bike has already started. So this would be kind of me at these cold temperatures here, air temp. This isn't how it's gonna idle just until the motor warms up. This is actual fueling at that temperature. So we will try engine temperature compensation now. So you can see how it's adding 45% at 14 degrees, and then the percentage drops as the engine temp comes up. So all the way up to 212, and then at 248 degrees it's actually adding 10% fuel. Probably add more fuel to keep the combustion a little bit cooler, but I have yet to see the bike at 248 degrees. So from 122 on down there, we're going to leave that alone. We're going to work on these colder temperatures here. So we'll start with, we'll go 68 degrees. We'll start there, and that's at 35%. We'll just bump that up a little bit because I don't think that's going to be changed a whole lot. So we'll just go 37. At 50 degrees, we'll go, it's at 40.9, so 41. Let's go to 45. Then we're getting colder now, so I'll just bump this up. 32 degrees, so we'll go we'll go right to 50 with it. And then the last number here at 14 degrees, that's cold. We'll give that a 55. Easy numbers to work with, and then you can fine tune them from there. So Excel fuel enrichment, that's basically like your accelerator pump if you had a carburetor on it. Battery voltage, I think that's what we're going to start with. We'll see how it pops off. I haven't fired this thing up yet today, so we'll send this to the ECU and see how it starts. If it doesn't fire it up, if it doesn't fire, I'm not going to force the issue and get it running. I don't want to put heat into it before I actually get the start stuff situated. So if this works, if it fires off right away, sweet. Then it just needs a little bit of dialing in, and then I can save all of this stuff. I can just send all those changes I just made, all my fueling maps. I can transport that all to the other maps that I have saved for the bike, so I don't have to go through each one and make all the exact changes I did here. Once I hit one map that works, like I said, I can just export it, we'll say, to the other maps I got saved. I have 6 maps total for this bike for different boost levels and different track conditions. So we'll send this to the ECU. So actually I got to plug the ECU in. Do that up here. So I'm connected and my ECU is powered up. Now we will go ahead, we'll save my changes here. Gotta go documents, fueltech maps. And this is my big tune-up. Yes, save all that, and then we'll go to write ECU. Now it'll bring up everything that's already saved in the ECU. This is actually the one that's active right now anyways, so I'll go ahead and send that. And this is actually going to send all of the wheelie control tables that I set up already too, that I haven't had a chance to send to the ECU since I've got all that figured out. So here you can tell right here, this blue line, because the ECU is on, so I'm getting actual readings, live readings from the bike. So it's telling me right in the center it's about 50 degrees. The engine temperature is at 50 degrees right now. So if I want to make changes live to, know where the bike is at, the bike's plugged in, it'll give me that data. So that's pretty cool. So now I sent it. Now let's see if we get the bike to start. So just so you can see, I'm not cheating when I power this thing up. See if I can zoom in on that. Boy, that's awful looking. Anyway, see if I come back a little bit. I really want to show you what this looks like. It's just not going to cooperate. This thing won't focus. But anyway, it's better up here maybe? I don't know. Anyway, it says right here my tire temp is 47 degrees. And then engine coolant temp 48 degrees. So you can see everything is pretty much ambient to what the air is in the shop. So now I'll go ahead and try to start this. Close, but we're going to fix it. Okay, so that was attempt 1. Just pushing the button and not giving any throttle input. Tried twice. It popped off and tried to idle for a second. So I think I'm going to go back to prime pulse, and I think we'll bump this up just a touch more. Let's go 20. We'll just try 25. We'll leave everything else the same because this is where I'm operating in. You can see my line there getting data from the bike. So we'll try that at 25. People that know what they're doing will probably look at these numbers and laugh, but I'm learning and I'm just out here tinkering around today, so I'll figure out kind of on my own what makes sense. These numbers might end up changing once I get everything kind of dialed in. We'll go to engine start. We'll bump this one up just a little bit. You can see it's at 50 degrees. 5.5, we'll just go 5.75. We'll move just a little bit. 5.75. It's hard to gauge what the bike wants because you're dealing in, milliseconds, and what do you relate that to? And this is about it, so I'm kind of learning what to relate it to right here. Engine start, post-start enrichment. So here is engine temperature, and then across the top is time in seconds. So how much fuel it'll give the bike right after it starts to kind of stabilize RPM, and then it'll taper off. So what's cool is I actually got a little help description over here. So this parameter helps stabilizing engine RPM just after start, improving the idle control, especially under low temperature conditions. So this is actually kind of where I want to play around with it. So temperature, 50 degrees, 53%, 48%, down to, after 3 seconds it's 35, 8 seconds it's down to 4.7. So I think what I'll do is bump these all up just a touch. We'll go 55 there. We'll go 50 here. And we'll bump this one up to 40. Oops, not 49, 40. And then 4.7 after 8 seconds, we'll give that about 6. What the hell? If you don't make big changes, you don't know what the little ones do. Let's see. Intake, air temp. That, I don't know if I want to monkey with too much. This is kind of all after it's already running settings. We're just trying to get it to fire right now. So once I get it to fire, I can start monkeying with this more. So we'll save this for now. That one. Save it. Yes, please. And then we'll send that to the ECU quick. Same one I've been working on. And just like that, new stuff is in the ECU. So let's try that button again. Button push after the first time I tried making those changes. Second set of changes, no throttle input or anything. Hit the button and fired up, and it's idling at 1500. I'm going totally good. I'm gonna leave it alone until I need to make more changes. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and just kind of see how things move, and I can watch. Excuse me, that wasn't Corona. I'm not dying, I swear. So I'm going to kind of watch what the bike is doing on the gain log, and as temperatures all come up and how the idle changes, we'll see what your fuels are. I'm not an expert on this garbage, but if I poke around long enough, I can figure some shit out. Like I said, somebody that knows what they're doing will probably chime in and go, yeah, I should have done this, and you should have done this. That's fine, I'll take all the advice I can get, but honestly, I like trying and messing stuff up and then trying to fix it again. That's the only way I'm going to learn, and then I learn what not to do at the same time. So hopefully you can hear me talking over the bike, but warming up, and it smells amazing in here. This is like coronavirus aromatherapy. So hopefully some of what I just did here makes sense to you. Maybe it'll help you kind of reason out some of the same settings and stuff. You hear the idle coming up now, I just warming out. So hope you enjoyed it. Later. Okay, so I just opened up another map for the bike that it wasn't the one I was making the changes on. So I was saying how I can just import, export different tables and settings and not have to individually change every map. So this is one of my other maps for the bike. So if I go up here where it says import tables settings, brings up all of my maps. So I'm going to go to this bottom one here. That's the one that I made all the changes to get the cold start going good. So I'll open that. Now what it's going to do is bring up all my options of stuff I want to bring from that map into the one that's live right now. So it's basically going to be over here on my fuel tables section. So we're going to select Excel fuel enrichment, decay fuel enrichment, engine temperature, intake air temp, and then down here is prime pulse, engine start, and post start enrichment. So those are all, well, that's kind of blurry, but those are all the ones that I was making changes to on that first map. So now I selected them in that map, and now it's going to transport all those to the map behind here, over here, that doesn't have those settings yet. So without having to individually change anything, I can just send it in one click. So I selected what I want to send, click OK, boom, made my changes. So now I can go back to home, save it, then save as, open it up here, so that's the one I want to save, and then save it. It already exists, keeping my names the same so I know. Categorize all my maps by launch RPM, launch boost, and then time of the ramp to max boost. So there's other changes in there, but it gives me an idea of what's like, what's my soft boost, leave, soft max. You know, I can almost tell ET wise what the bike will run just based on how I got the map labeled. And like this one here, I'll leave it 8300 at 12.5 psi, and it's 2.5 seconds to 22 psi. So that's not actual boost pressures, that's pressure to the dome. So if I got that set at 12.5 psi to the dome, I'm probably leaving on 10 pounds. Data log would show it. And then 2.5 seconds to 22. So down track, 22 pounds to the dome. It's probably making, I don't know, 18 pounds to the motor. So this is like my mid-grade map, we'll call it. But just makes it easier for me to keep, you know, my five major maps that I work with. I can tweak each one individually a little bit here and there, but I'll always keep the names like that so I know I can kind of rank them. And then when they're in the ECU, like if I got to make a change, oil down or something, track's going to crap, it's getting cold, I can just click to one that I know is 1 or 2 steps softer or slower to hopefully get down. So is it a good system? I don't know. It's just simple, and I'm kind of self-coached here on figuring stuff out. So this is what I learned to understand on my own. So dig that.